What's up, guys? Today we're going to do something a little different. No script today, just going to do something a little bit off the cuff, and I want to just go over some of the armors that we have currently in-game that Ubisoft can probably take a look at and retexture like they did with some of the other armors. Now, the difference in this scenario is that I'm not going to bring up any like major changes or anything, simply what they could possibly retexture with as minimal work as possible for some of the existing armors that we have in-game for these heroes. Also, a lot of this is going to be kind of opinion based, so I mean, if you watch this channel, then you probably know what my opinions are going to be on some of the armor choices, on what I think they should do. Like I said before in my last video, that doesn't mean that you have to like them, it's just what I kind of think I would like to see. Now, before we start looking at any of these heroes, let me just say that there's some heroes I'm going to skip, like Warmonger, just because I don't really have anything to say on the retexturing side. They can pretty much do whatever they want with her. Pretty much the same with all the Wulin as well, because they already have a lot of armor as is, so there's nothing that they really need. I'm going to focus on some of the heroes that really need some new sets of armors, or just have armors that could be easily convertible to something that is actually really good looking. So to start for this one, we're going to look at Warden. As you can see, I think they're starting to understand the more is less concept. So with this new set of armor, they really only just did scale all the way around, and they kept this weird plate thing. I think that they should do even less than that. They should get rid of this plate thing because it's redundant. There's no reason they should have it there. And then have something like this, but change it to chainmail. Connect these little gaps, because then it will actually look like it's an actual chainmail shirt that goes all the way around. And then, like I said before, get rid of this weird padding on the side, and they could potentially do something like this. The standards aren't that bad. They could do something more with that. Honestly, have him have a full chainmail hauberk that comes down to the standard lengths. So maybe combine these two and then make it all chainmail. And then on chainmail hauberks, there are gaps in between the legs, like right here, how the standards, there's a gap right here. So that way it's easier to mount on horseback. So honestly, if they connect the standards in this, make it seem seamless, they could just make it all chainmail. If that's too much work in of itself, literally just delete this, make this all a chainmail texture, and I think we'd have something to work with here. Another thing that they can do is for the Tranquil Wayfarer arms. This is already a really good set. I talked about it in my Warden analysis, that it's got a lot going for it. It's plate, it's chainmail. Two things I would like to see is adding a gauntlets to this, so that way there's actual hand protection. Hand protection is extremely important for people who want to use sword-based combat with no other protection, no shield or anything like that. So a gauntlet would be great. And then removing these leather straps from the plate, just leaving it normal metal, because this is a liability. If the straps were to get cut, because obviously the plate is going to take damage, that's the point of the armor, but let's say a slash was coming, cut these straps, next thing you know, your gauntlet falls off because there's nothing holding on to it anymore. So just remove these straps, have it bare plate, and then add gauntlets, and that could be great for Warden as well. Next, we're taking a look at Centurion here. And in this case, when I was previously talking about adding the Lorica Hamata, which is the chainmail, one thing that could be done in that scenario to add that to the game would be taking the Lorica Squamata, which is a scale armor here, and retexturing this. So if we could get rid of the straps and then remove these little metals, then you already have a pretty good basis that we can just retexture this entire thing into chainmail. You can even remove these. You could leave them, but I would say connect them all together, so that way it adds to the length of the actual chainmail shirt. And then the belt is fine in of itself. This is like a placard belt, which is more or less kind of like a medieval thing. The Singula Militare, which we talked about in the Centurion analysis, would be a good addition to have to it. But honestly, again, we're talking about the least amount of work that they could possibly do. Remove all this stuff from here, retexture it to chainmail texture, and I think that would be pretty good in of itself. And then, yeah, you know, you could leave the rest, honestly. That would be fine, I guess. For Centurion's helmets, we're taking a look at the added armors that they did when they brought in the 4 new variants for Centurion, and they all have open faces. The one that I liked the most was this one, which is called the Niederbiber helmet, which is a type of cavalry helmet for the Roman Empire. You can tell by its connected chin strap plates. I like this one because it is the most realistic out of all of them, but it is a cavalry helmet, and what I'd rather much see is something that is more like the Gallic style helmet, which is like this. You can tell because it has more sloped angle like this, and these two plates would technically be strapped together, and there'd be a little tie here. You can see there's a tie there, but the plates move freely essentially, and there'd be no faceplate. Not as necessary as the chest piece and adding a Lorica Hamata, but I still think that would be neat to have. Next, I want to take a look at Conk, and even though I did say that he did get some really good armor in the last armor video, I do think that there is a lot more that could be done, and funny enough, we can use the most recent armor to do that. So I do like the fact that they're adding some sort of protection right here, covering the majority of the torso, covering the vital organs from the front. That's fantastic. But what they can then do with this set of armor is revert this tabard back to it being cloth. No rips or anything like that, because this does look really nice. So revert this back to being cloth, and then take this padded area and then make that into chainmail. And you could even keep this kind of dag edging, because that would actually be correct for that type of chainmail, especially medieval chainmail. So then he can have a normal cloth tabard and then have armor underneath, and that would be for the most part, correct. I mean, I'm saying tabard here, and I understand that some people will be like, it's actually supposed to be a surcoat. It is supposed to be a surcoat, but this is not a surcoat. It's open on both sides, and a proper surcoat would actually be connected all the way around and essentially be like a tunic of some sort. So in this scenario, I think that it would be great. Make chainmail here, make this back into cloth, and you have actually a really good armor set going. For Conk's armor, there's a lot that you could do. I think one thing that they should do is take the Sinister Silence arms, which are mostly all plate, and then add something underneath. I say, chainmail would be great. Cloth would be fine as well. Plate up against skin is just not good in my opinion. But add some gloves, add some actual chainmail. If they could do entirely chainmail and then something like a chainmail mitten, this would be fantastic. It would be, bar none, the best set of armor that he has. There's also some other things that they could do, like taking one of these armors, and it already has the chainmail, already has the gauntlet, already has the gloves, but there's so many spikes and just unnecessary jagged edges and stuff like that, so if they could clean this up, that would be fantastic as well. Conk has a lot going for him, but honestly, there's just like a lot of odd things that if they just trimmed it down and made it a lot more simple, and clean looking, it'd be fantastic. Next, we're going to be taking a look at Blackprior here, and if you saw my Blackprior analysis, you know what I want. I want this helmet, but with this top part gone, so no crown, no nothing. Just it's essentially which hood is it? I believe it's one of these hoods, but it's essentially one of these hoods, and I believe it's this hood right here. So let's see, it's this hood. Yeah, it's that hood, but with this weird cap on top. So just keep this helmet. I like this helmet. Remove the crown, remove the top part, and you're good. It's super simple. And then make this hood like team colors. If you can make this hood change colors along with whatever your actual color set is going to be, again, bar none, everyone would be wearing this. I guarantee you. I would put money on it. Another thing I brought up in the actual video, the last video, the armor review, we talked about how they removed some of the skulls, but then they removed the chainmail. If they could just, for all of these, just keep the armor, but remove the skulls, we'd be in a much better place. So like here, remove the skulls from the van braces. That would be fantastic. And then in the most recent case where they removed the skull from the elbows, but they then took away the chainmail. If they could do something like this, more simple, no gold, just normal metal, and then put the chainmail back, that would be fantastic. Next, I want to talk about Raider, even though he doesn't really pertain to our discussion, because, and I originally stated that the only things I'm going to be bringing up are stuff that is super easy to change, essentially only retexturing and no major remodeling, creating new assets or anything like that. That being said, I do need to bring this up because it's just ridiculous. If anyone needs a new asset, it's Raider. You can't really say I'm biased in this because I only got Raider to Rep 7 to talk about him in these videos. I mostly play Knights. I have no affiliation with the Vikings or anything like that. But when you come and look at some of these chess pieces, every single one, he's shirtless. It's awful. And the times that he's not shirtless, he's wearing what's the equivalent of a burlap sack. And again, I bring up that he should be the one who should be at the top of the priority list for getting better armor, not because like no one else like deserves it as much, but you have to understand that like why does him being shirtless have to do with him being a raider? Like Shaolin not getting extra armor or something like that, I can understand. He's a Buddhist monk. He's apparently not supposed to have armor, even though that doesn't really make sense. Or, you know, Aramusha or Shinobi not having armor because they're supposed to be light armor to some extent. Berserker or Shaman not having armor because they're crazy and they don't wear armor. Okay, whatever. What does being a raider have to do with being shirtless? Like, there's so much that they could do, and I appreciate... I want to also say I do appreciate the effort of them understanding that raider mains want there to be armor, but they need to try harder than this. They really need to try a little bit harder than this. And so if anyone needed actual time set aside devoted to make brand new assets, I honestly think it should be Raider. And that's just my opinion. Go ahead and tell me down below if I'm just wrong. But and again, this is coming from a Knight main. I don't even play Raider, but this is disgusting. And then this is all sad. Next here I want to look at is Warlord. And again, I wish I had more time on Warlord. Unfortunately, I don't. But one thing that I can say about Warlord is that what I would retexture is his essentially like leather lamellar sets. Because if we look at this chest piece, it's not... Okay, it's not like bad. It's okay. It's not bad. It's not the greatest, but it's doable, and you can work with it. And you could give it the Kensei treatment, where essentially if we just retexture this to look metal, and then material change, then changes this to metal colors to whatever color you want, you can do a lot with that. And you can make it look however you want. So that way you could have essentially steel lamellar, brass lamellar. Hell, you can make it red if you want. So I think there's a lot that could be done. And it's, for the most part, uniform all the way across, and it does look relatively like lamellar. I think that you could do a lot with this. Just remove some of this, make it look cleaner, and you could do a lot with just this outfit. And there are other chest pieces that do have some sort of chainmail. I'll talk about this whenever I do get around to a Warlord analysis. I don't have this character that high up, so I really wish I did. But if just working with what I have, these lamellar sets don't look bad if they weren't leather. The patterning itself is actually pretty okay. So if they just change this material over to metal, we're golden. Also talking about Warlord's arms, one thing that I would really like to see is actually like proper tunic. I like that he has a lot of options with chainmail sleeves, so that's pretty cool. But something that would probably, you know what, this would be good. So like a lamellar chest piece and then maybe like a chainmail hauberk underneath. But the tunic needs to look better. On this one I have, there's no frayed edges, kind of. I think we see a little bit right there. But I think what we really need is for them to realize that being a Viking doesn't mean that you're just a complete barbarian. There's an entire culture built around these, and they evolved in some of the greatest Western civilizations now. So I don't think that the idea that they don't know how to properly fix frayed edges and stuff like that, proper stitching, make it look like they're not just wearing burlap and canvas and holes in it and everything. When you live in a world where there's no sewing machines or anything like that, you get pretty good at stitching your own clothing. So I think, again, I don't have access to the later rep stuff, so maybe he's just wearing like the most beautiful silk embroidered tunics. But from what I've seen from other like screenshots and stuff like that, they could really do a lot better with the tunics underneath. So changing this to metal and then having it transition into like a really good looking wool tunic or something like that, and then maybe still having the chainmail underneath, sure, that would be great. Next here I want to look at is Valkyrie. I wish I had more reps on Valkyrie because I didn't even know some of these armor options that she had. She essentially has the same thing that Warlord has going on. So we see like essentially another type of lamellar setup going on, leather lamellar. And I think that this is actually really form-fitting, and this could work really well. Remove whatever these spiky bone teeth stuff are that just looks like you're asking to impale yourself while you're walking. And remove how floppy this is. I mean, I understand they want to show off their physics engine, but like, that just seems ridiculously floppy. It shows how soft this leather is. So even if you're trying to like convince yourself, oh, it's leather armor, no, it's too soft. You'd penetrate right through this almost immediately. So if they remove the floppiness of this and just material converted this to metal, I think this would actually look really good for the most part. Working with what you got. Again, we're talking about the least amount of effort, the quickest texture changes. You could do a lot with this and make it look relatively good. I don't even mind the fur used here because it's okay. I don't want to delve into it more than I have to. Material convert this and you have something good to work with here. So next hero I want to talk about is Kensei, and this is my current Kensei build. I like the red effect, or the red material, because it adds like a glossy lacquered effect, which works great for the metal. Honestly, this hero won the show last time. It's so good. It's missing a tassel right here, and honestly, I wish they'd have fixed that. But other than that, it looks fantastic. One thing, my biggest issue though with it is the jacket. And I understand they wanted to go for a white, clean look, but when you take away the option to customize things, you're making player expression even harder. And the entire point of adding new armors and all that stuff is for player expression. So as you can see, colors do not change the edge or this gray part. That does not change the colors. Material does not change the edge or the gray part. So the only thing that changes this would be changing the armor itself. And honestly, although I do like the jacket and I like this entire thing, and again, it is still the best armor from the previous showcase, there's a lot more that can be done. And I think that they should always be striving to improve. So something like this converted over to metal, that would be great. What else doesn't have the jacket? Something like that. Honestly, pretty much, the issue is that I do like this shape. If they could do this one again, but make it to where the jacket is part of the actual player color expression, whether that be through material or through player colors, that's what I think I'd like the most. Because white, unlike black does go with everything. White does not go with everything. This is more of I just realized this is more of a fashion issue than anything. But when playing this a lot, I'm like, man, this is so cool. But man, you have to deal with this gray on every single color combo, and it kind of just clashes with whatever you're trying to go for. So I'm trying to go with the deep red. It kind of clashes with that. I try to do like a deep green. It kind of clashes with that. Is it still fantastic? Yeah, but it can be so much more. It can be so much more. I realized that I just rambled on a lot about colors, but yeah, I feel like they could do a lot with this, and we're just waiting on that to happen. Next, we're going to take a look at Orochi, and I know that for his more recent armor, it was based off of this kind of style, and I don't know enough about samurai armor as of yet to make a completely confirmed statement, so understand that this is just based off of my very limited knowledge, but this kind of armor with the knotted rope attached to it, I don't think would be a proper fastening style for a type of breastplate, or I wouldn't at least assume that it would be something of this that would be used by the samurai class. Maybe Ashigaru would wear something like this, possibly. I don't know. Again, I still need to take my time, look it up, do studying, stuff like that. And I'll probably do that whenever I get around to making an analysis video for this kind of hero. But what I would have much preferred as a metal armor is something like this, which is much more form-fitting, much more securely fastened. There's various options for this as well. It doesn't have to just be that one. But, and there could always be the chance that they ended up getting around to do something like that and material converting something like this over. So this is what I would like to see, especially with, what is this? 2 wakazashis, one on the front, one on the back. I think this totally looks cool, and this definitely gives you that samurai look that you want as a samurai. I understand that the being like a Kensei, according to the the campaign and stuff like that. And I guess this is like deep For Honor lore, what little we have left of it. But you know, the Kensei were like the daimyo and stuff like that. But I would still assume that the Orochis were like a noble class. Like, they're not just some goon that you send out, oh, send the Orochis after them. They're not, because they still have to have a sword and stuff like that, and they still have armor and stuff like that. So I'm assuming they're essentially like a vassal, a knight, you know. They're not like high nobility, but they're not a peasant either. So they deserve to have proper full armor protection, and I just feel like this is it looks kind of cheap and hastily made to me. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm stupid. I haven't taken the time to look it up myself. So, sorry. So next we're going to look at Aramusha. And I know that when I said earlier in the previous armor review that he needs like a complete revamp and stuff like that, and that I feel like he should get his own pieces of armor and like assets from like Kensei or Orochi, I do still believe that. But again, let's see what we can work with just, you know, doing retextures. One thing that I would like to see is something along the lines of, you know, this armor piece, maybe without the spikes and stuff, change this over to metal, if possible, make it bigger, but again, without messing with assets, literally just change this material metal and then change the sleeve texture into the samurai chain link texture that we talked about in the armor review. It won't look the best because there's still like creases and stuff here, but it would still be something, I guess, and it would be something that we could have with the most minimal amount of effort. As for the chest piece, I would say that you could do something like this and then change this part under the coat to just be metal. Fuck. Shit, hold on. Okay. Sorry, I think I just died from the ridiculousness of that, but it's true. You could just change this to metal, but what would probably be better is what they were attempting to do with this. So they took a jacket like this and how it normally has his bare chest, you know. They instead put a fuck, I'm getting the hiccups again. I don't know why I find this so funny. All right. They took, because you could see his pec. You could literally see his pec as the fucking texture just curves around it. If you look at it straight on, it doesn't look that bad, but from the side, it's... Fuck. Hold on. Okay. What I would do is instead of this weird studded leather thing, I don't know why they did that, they should have done a normal, like, some actual armor, you know. And I don't know if it's something that they could just add on as a texture, but something like, you know, how like Kensei's chest piece would be good. Even something like Orochi's. Like, I like this kind of, like, you know, very rounded. This is a fantastic armor piece right here because it gives you the protection for glancing blows. It covers a majority of your vital organs. And he could wear something smaller like that underneath his jacket, so that way he's still maintaining that anonymous look, but he still has something to protect his chest. And he could wear something along the lines... Not that one. He could wear something along the lines of, you know, like this. So that you could still see that it's like stacked layers of metal, but it's still curved. So you could see that curve along the chest line, so that, well, it fits up against the body well. And you know, could do something like that. Just kind of spitballing there. I don't know what their abilities or limitations are. This one's kind of a harder one because he kind of does need like the Raider treatment, where, you know, just you got to start from the beginning because there's literally almost nothing to work with. Although he's not as big of an issue because I think his clothing does look good, but for the people who want armor, yeah, there's not much to work with here. You're gonna have to start from the beginning. So that's going to be it for this one. Sorry if it was a bit rambly. That's usually how it goes when I don't have everything written out. Also, since I didn't cover all the heroes, let me know what heroes you think could have easily had textures redone to look better. Another thing I'd like to say is that I'm going to be very busy for the next month of May, so I might be able to get one more video out, but a lot more videos should come out around the time of June. I'm just not going to be at my computer a lot, so I won't have any time to make videos as much as I'd like. Also, before this video ends, I'd like to say a special thank you to all my YouTube members, especially those in the Steel category, which includes Vodka Lover 420, Shadow Eagle 04, and Grant Bork. If you'd like to become a member as well and support the content I make, the join button is down below. If you want to support my content in other ways, hit the like button as that will help get this video out to other people. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date on future videos. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions on how Ubisoft can produce better armor, then go ahead and leave it down below. As always, thank you for watching and I hope you have a nice day. Peace.